Hello, everybody.
You. Don't mind me.
Those are delicious.
And a drink. This is my dinner tonight because I just literally got in from New York.
Well, it's funny because remember before we did the tour, you were the one who was talking endlessly about like, oh, I'm gonna be clean. I'm gonna eat clean when I'm done with it. Yada yada.
I did say after my Atlanta trip, which is this weekend.
Oh, okay. You're gonna do after the Atlanta trip.
And then I'm home for a minute and I could legit lock the fuck in.
Okay, well, I was not thinking, oh, I'll eat healthy after the tour, but a weird thing happened. I woke up the next day and I was just like, I gotta eat healthy. I don't have a choice. Like, I didn't even... usually what works on me is positive reinforcement. So, like, in other words, I have to see something. Like, remember that picture of Tyrese that made me want to work out?
Yep,
I was like, I gotta work out. Like, I'm supposed to be competing with this dude who's ripped as fuck and he's got, like, mass and stuff. So I was like, I gotta work out. Usually it's...
Although The Rock shits on him now.
On Tyrese?
Yeah, they have a beef.
Well, yeah, I remember that. I kind of remember that. I think we spoke about that once on the podcast.
Did we?
I think we did. But anyway, this was the first time in my life. Negative reinforcement has never worked on me. But this was the first time it worked on me. Where, like, after we ate, I was just like, I just ate, like, every fast food thing under the sun. And this shit is not healthy. And I looked at my, like, belly in the mirror. And I was just like, nah, I gotta eat healthy. So the very next day, I went to the grocery store.
You started cold turkey?
Got all healthy shit. And was just like, that's it. I'm gonna only have healthy shit in my house, so that's all I'll eat because it'll be right there. You know?
Yeah. Oh, it's genius.
Yeah.
I didn't feel as bad as I thought. Well, first, let me start off by saying I am not gonna ridicule the 27,000 people that don't subscribe to Corin's World channel. So I'm not gonna start off the show by telling people to go to my channel and subscribe. Right? I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, you're trying to reverse psychology them into subbing.
So I'm legit. I'm not gonna tell people. I'm not gonna tell whoever the 13,000 or 20,000 people that haven't subscribed to Corin's World yet to go subscribe. That's not gonna be my MO for this podcast. So I just wanted to get that out the way.
Go subscribe, everybody.
People get so tight at me. No, but that's why I'm not telling you to go to Corin's World and subscribe. The videos are trash, so don't go over there and watch them. But I didn't feel as bad as I thought I was going to feel after the tour, which made me get candlelight the next night. So I got wings and a chicken sandwich.
It's a wing spot, guys, and it's delicious food. But it wasn't even that I felt bad physically. It was the thought of what we just did.
Yeah.
It was the thought of it.
We almost did it. So here's why I wasn't too bad about it, because we sort of just did it so quick. Like, it's almost like in baseball or something where you make a phenomenal catch and it just happens so fast that, like, you can't even, like, everybody's like, that catch was amazing, that move was amazing, but you're like, I don't even remember it. Like, it happened so quick. The fact that we drove back from the casino and we're just like, let's just do the tour. And we hit 5 spots. The fact that they were like 4 of them were like in a row made it better. Like, if we had to drive, like,
one place to one place to one place. Yeah. Last time I think it was 4 places we went to, and me and Bobby had to drive far to get to each one.
See, that makes you start thinking about it more and makes you, feel like more of an asshole. Whereas like you're like, we basically went to 2 restaurants because, well, I just called fast food restaurants, but I put it into my perspective as, we basically went to Wendy's and then McDonald's.
All one spot, yeah.
Yeah,
Popeye, all one spot.
King. Yeah, so we went to 2 different places. But like if we went, Wendy's was far and we had to drive to McDonald's and then like smell the McDonald's and drive to Burger King, which was 5 miles away. The fact that it was just all right there and then we can go home and house it, it was almost just like we just got food that night.
But I also fucked up my order a little bit, which was I got like a crispy chicken snack wrap from McDonald's, and I got a crispy chicken sandwich from Burger King.
Yep.
And that was a rookie mistake because when I was done, I was thinking like, damn, I had a burger, I had a gordita crunch, and then I had that shit, those 2 things. And then just in my head, I'm going, that's just so fucking gross and unhealthy and wrong.
It was a lot of chicken.
Each one of those things individually is delicious, but when you put them all together, it's a little bit overwhelming in the sense that you're thinking about what you just did, and I was like, nah, I got to eat healthy for a little bit. So
Yeah. I really didn't feel like that. Like even I watched some of it back, and I was like, damn, that Taco Bell looks banging. I could almost house that again. I didn't feel like
the Taco Bell, yeah, it did look really good. What happened to did you post? You didn't post the casino video yet, I don't think.
No, Molly's editing that one.
Okay, that one was good. I think people will like that.
Mm-hmm.
We can give everybody a little spoiler here.
Yeah.
Spoiler: me and Corin both won.
One of us won a little bit more than the other.
That's true. We won't spoil it. We won't say who. You'll find out soon enough. But Corin and I both finished up. I played Texas Hold'em and a little bit of roulette, but I have a system to the roulette, which makes it not like I have a pretty decent chance of winning. The best odds you could have against the house with how I do the roulette thing. But
that was a fun road trip. I wanted Molly to use the footage of This is the ultimate dick move when you're riding with someone on a long road trip. Don't fall asleep. And like I had just gotten to New York, I think. Did we go on Friday? Or Saturday?
I don't remember.
It might have been Friday.
I don't remember. I think it was Friday.
So I had an excuse because I was just tired as fuck. But if you're ever driving with someone, don't fall asleep. So there was a funny video you took of me and Poker Face was playing. And then you panned the camera to me, and I'm just passed out.
Yeah.
But I don't think we could use it because Molly said you can't use Poker Face like in the video.
Less than 12 seconds you can, but if you don't want to risk it, you don't have, I see where she's coming from because definitely you'll get a copyright strike if you go over 12 seconds.
That's what I said because I always remember Jamie, like when he's talking to Joe Rogan, they're like, can we play this? And he's like, 1, if we talk over it, it's fine. And then 2, if it's like whatever, less than
under
a certain
12 seconds. Yeah, that's the golden rules, under 12 seconds. But if she wants to be safe, what she could do is just mute the music and just show me showing what it says.
Yeah, that's what I think. I told her to do. I was like, just take the music out of it.
Yeah, or she could risk it and play the music, but she's better off just show. But anyway, you weren't sleeping for that long, though. You literally slept for like 15 minutes, not even.
Yeah. I just needed a quick power nap. And the same shit happened on the flying back tonight. Nix was wide awake and I was so tired and I was like, just fall asleep. And she fell asleep for a hot minute too, which was so
So
clutch.
You were sleeping, your daughter was awake?
No, she was sleeping, but there probably was a point where I was sleeping and she was awake too. The lady next to us.
You were like, yo, just make sure my kid's all right. They were like, all right.
It's pretty much, so Molly said it
was
today.
Was it an old lady next to you?
No, she was like middle-aged, but I think she was like, she might have been like a lesbian, so she was like, she probably didn't have kids. And she was like, no, I think she was. She had like my haircut. So like, I haven't seen many straight women with that haircut. Is that messed up?
Yes.
How is that messed up?
Speculating on her sexuality. I mean, I guess, like, yeah, it is.
No, she told me she was meeting her girlfriend or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Then it's factual that she was a lesbian. But what about that? What does it have to do with looking after Molly? Or looking after Nick?
She kept talking about her cat. So, like, it made me think she didn't have any kids. So, like, it made her, like, maybe more comfortable with, like, playing with a kid that wasn't hers. So, like...
Oh, you're saying if they had a kid, they'd be less likely to, like, be like, fine, I'll look after your kid?
Exactly. So, like, she didn't have a kid, so it's almost like grandparents, like, who don't have...
Oh, that's a good point, man.
You know?
I never thought of that. That's so true. Grandparents are always, like, fun, and they give the kids $10, and they play with them and stuff.
And they tell the parents, like, go out to dinner, because it's just, like, you're just watching them for that night. Yeah. So it's like, yo, bitch.
So you're not
watch her. Watch her for an hour.
You're not worn down from watching your own kids all day, every day.
Exactly. And she's got a fresh slate, especially if she just has a cat. Like, no kids ever. She's mad. She was, like, touching her foot and stuff like that. At some points, I was just like, all right, you're a little weird. Like, chill out. But if you're gonna let me sleep, then by all means, go for it.
That's funny. You mentioned Rogan before. He's in a little hot water now.
I saw that, man. You're beefing with, like, Progressive Voice says you're actually beefing with that guy now.
Well, yeah, but he's my friend, so it's all good. It's like if me and you were Twitter arguing on something.
So it's not real beef, because...
No, it's not beef, but we were having an argument. We were having a disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not mad at. I didn't. I just saw like the highlights. I saw your guys' conversation a little bit. I saw the initial thing of Rogan going on to,
Alex
what was
Jones
it?
show.
Yeah.
Alex Jones. Yeah.
You can't be. I mean, like you made good points. It's like he means well, and like he's a lefty, but he's got some fucked up friends, and
I wouldn't even say I wouldn't even say he's a lefty.
yeah, not a lefty, but
I would say on many views he leans left, but there are some views where he has reactionary positions, where he has somewhat conservative positions.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, what were you saying? I'm sorry. You were saying
that you can't blame him for going on like his boy's show. Like if he's really genuinely been friends with this dude for a minute, as fucked up as Alex Jones is, you can like he has the people on his podcast. Whether or not his podcast got superly, big and he's got this huge platform now isn't his responsibility, So it's like I don't know. Actually, I'm sort of second guessing myself now. Is like, does he have a like an obligation now to hold people to a higher standard because he's got this huge platform? It's the same thing that happened with Michael Jordan. People got mad at Michael Jordan because he wasn't like a black advocate. What is it?
advocate,
Advocate
yeah. Or activist, either one.
Activist. Sorry, when he was playing basketball. And a lot of people are upset about that. They're like, there's all this racial tension shit going on right now, and you're not doing anything about it. But then there was other people on the other side that were just like, he's never did anything about it. He's just a basketball player. Like, but then, people say he's got this huge platform. He should take a stand because a lot of people are looking up to him. So it's hard. There's like Rogan always says, there's that gray area of like, Rogan just wants to have a podcast and talk to his boys. But at what point do we hold him to a standard of like, you can't, give these people credibility because these people are fucked up. Like Alex Jones is doing fucked up shit, calling these parents, fake actors and stuff like that. So it's like, if you're going to go on his show and press him about that even more, So I don't know what type of shit he spoke about on the show, but if you're going on his show, you got to let it be known. I'm here because I'm your friend, so I'm going to take some slack for that. But you're also an asshole and fucked up because like some dude committed suicide today. Do you realize that? Do you realize the stuff you said? So like, there is a way.
I don't think he knew about that at that point, to be fair.
Yeah, not about that, but he knows that he said that Sandy Hook was a hoax.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know if he went on there and started pressing him or if it was just more like, them talking again. But at some point you gotta balance it. So it's like, yes, you have this very successful podcast. Maybe you didn't realize it was going to get this big, but it is this big now. Now you have to change your tune a little bit and sort of start holding people accountable for the shit they say. Because,
I mean, I get why people are mad because it's almost like Alex Jones is the perfect example of like, this is the dude, like the one dude who's so beyond the pale and says so many absurd things that are fucked up and in some cases dangerous that like, this is like the one dude that everybody would really give you shit for because he's just that dude. And like, it's a little fucked up to be willy-nilly with your approach to it, even though he is your boy and even though you have known him since the 1990s. So like, I get that. Like, I get why people are like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? And, Jones was like doxing Rogan's like adopted daughter or something like that. I don't know if you saw that Progressive Voice video, but I was floored. No, there was like Alex Jones back when him and Rogan were like peak fighting each other. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones dug up like on Facebook. Rogan has an adopted black daughter.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and she's she's an adult now, or like a young adult, I guess you could say. But he was posting pictures of her and talking about, like, I know Joe's not racist, but, it was just weird as fuck. He's, like, doxing this poor girl. And so, in other words, he was acting really, like, deranged in his response to Rogan. And Rogan, interestingly, he didn't, like, that didn't make him, like, hate Alex Jones more. Yeah. It made him, like, connect with him one-on-one and say, hey, listen, man, what's going on here? What are you doing? We got to talk this out, brother. What's happening? And
that's pretty respectful. I mean, like, that's pretty...
I don't know. What would you do? I don't know. In that situation, I think maybe the more reasonable thing is to be like, yo, kind of fuck you on another level. Like, what, you're going to dox my adopted daughter, you piece of shit? So, like...
Yeah, but the fact he took the high road and was like, hey, let's talk about this...
But then the high road ended up in the controversy because now you have this dude who's obviously like, I literally think Alex Jones is mentally unstable. Literally.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not even saying that as like a haha, he's insane. No, like the dude needs to be on like some antipsychotic medication. You know?
I agree. Mm-hmm.
And so, but they had the podcast, and then Joe went on his show, and I mean, listen, the only like the counter argument to a lot of this though is that it's not like when Alex Jones went on Joe Rogan's show and he got like a 98% like rate. That 98% of people who hit like on the video were all like, oh my goodness, Alex Jones is making so many salient points that are true. No, they're like...
They liked it because he's a lunatic.
Exactly. They're like, this guy's crazy, and the more you let him talk, the more everybody realizes that he's not making any sense and nobody should trust him. So it's not necessarily... Because the argument a lot of people make against Rogan is that, oh, he's providing a gateway to far-right views. And it's like, well... Do we really know that? We know that he has a lot of people on his show who are right-wing. I will give you that 100%. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, oh, it's a gateway to those views, because by the same token, he would also be a gateway to the left, because he had on Abby Martin, he had on Jimmy Dore, he had on me, he had on Tulsi Gabbard, he had on Andrew Yang, and he had on a number of people he had on the fucking guy way to the left of me, the guy who was the Zeitgeist guy, who did the left-wing movie Zeitgeist, where they're, like, anarchists or some shit. So, go ahead.
My bad.
No,
the only thing that bothers me about the whole Rogan thing is I remember him telling us, like, he didn't want to have people on that weren't genuine, about what they believed in. So there was that one guy who was on
Milo.
He was like, I don't like that guy because I don't think he genuinely believes that shit. And I think it's like I think he's like, I don't know what it is with Alex Jones that like he's just so far on the deep end that he felt compelled to go on his show when he had told us that like he doesn't really go on other people's shows. And I don't think Alex Jones believes the shit he says.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if he does, he's genuinely unstable. But yeah, I mean, I agree. See, here's the reason why I was kind of annoyed by the whole like squabble we were having is that if you make specific arguments against Alex Jones and you make specific arguments against Joe Rogan or like a bunch of these people, I would almost guaranteed agree with that specific argument that you're making on a specific issue. But the reason why I was like, I don't think this is fair is because he was saying Joe Rogan is part of the problem, which to me, that's too general. Like, you're being way too general with it. You're saying, like, in other words, you're saying all the bad shit, all the bad people he's had on, he's responsible for all of their shitty beliefs. And when he has the good people on, I'm just not that. That's pushed to the side. That doesn't even count anymore because of the talks he's had with the bad people. You see what I mean? And that's too black and white thinking. That's not like, I get it. If you want to go after Alex Jones and be like, the dude's a lunatic. Here's the 1,000 things he said that are wrong, and this is fucked up. Do that. But you don't have to do the guilt by association thing, which is, oh, because they're friends and because he did the podcast with him, therefore he's now part of the problem and he's canceled. Because again, in my mind, even though there's a lot to critique there, he's also part of the solution when he has on Abby Martin and Jimmy Dore and me and other left-wing people. You know? So
yeah, I mean,
it was too general. That's the thing that got me. The statement's too general, and I don't like guilt by association. Even though I totally understand why, like, Alex Jones is almost a unique case of, like, he's the worst person in this whole sphere, and, like, to have him on and casually bullshit with him, that's not intelligent. That's really silly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Joe Rogan has credibility. So when he brings people on, they all of a sudden, get some sense of like credibility because he's chosen them or he's selected them, whether he likes them, whether he respects them or doesn't respect them. But in some sense, he probably respects a little piece of them because he's having them on his show. He wants to learn a little bit about what they're doing, whether it's good or bad. But with Alex Jones, there's nothing. I'm fine. I'm sort of fine with him, having him on his show and then going on his show, if Alex Jones still has his show. And I didn't watch it, but like, you have to press him. You have to, call him out on the absurd shit that he said. And even if he gives you some gray answer, some lunatic answer, you have to call him on that too and be like, that made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's fair to say he didn't do that enough. But I also think that he did that with Dave Rubin when he had on Dave Rubin. He did that with Candace Owens when he had on Candace Owens. But like, that's the thing, is sometimes I think it's fair to say, and I think he'd admit this, he's ill-equipped to deal with it when it's somebody like Jordan Peterson, who's
just crazy smart with like
who's smart, but honestly, sometimes the substance of what he says is not true at all. But I don't think Rogan's equipped to be like, that doesn't make much sense, and here's why. You know what I mean? But it's easy for people to give Rogan shit for talking to Peterson and then letting some stuff slide because he's not equipped to respond.
Yeah, I think this stuff has to get exposed. So like John Oliver did a segment on, it was Hypnotist, I think, you know? And he sort of was blaming all of these like talk shows when we were growing up that would bring Hypnotist on, and they would be successful, you know, like they'd pull someone from the audience and they'd go through their whole spiel of like, I see a guy, and they're like, it's a girl actually. And they're like, yeah, you know, and like you go down that path with them and they eventually get the person crying and like admitting that like somebody did just die, and everybody claps and they look at this guy like he's a fucking hero. When in reality, what John Oliver was saying is like, there were some people who like debunked Hypnotist that like, but it was on like Discovery Channel and weird shit, not like mainstream TV. So no one ever saw it. What needs to be done is like, these people need to get called on their bullshit for us to, you know, see them for what they are. So like, instead of having Alex Jones on and like letting him spew all of his shit and like not calling him on his bullshit, come with facts and say that none of this shit happened and expose him for being the fraud that he is. So like, Jed showed me a video yesterday. There's like these crazy karate guys. Like it's like this fat, chubby
the
karate guy.
fake shit.
Yeah. The fake shit that says like, I can knock you out without even touching you.
Yeah,
so like
the chi.
the chi. They build this ball. And what this TV show did, they brought this scientist in there and like had them try it on him.
Yeah, and it was bullshit.
He was like, no, it's not working. And then the chi guy is like, no, his tongue might have been raised. And then like, if his big toes were up and down, that can nullify it. So like, he was a non-believer. But it's like, I saw that, and obviously I knew these guys were bullshit anyway, but like that needs to be on TV. So like, you can't bring these fake phony people, like these hypnotists, these people that could speak to the dead, on TV and have everybody clap for them and make it look like they're really doing a good job, because all they're doing is fucking up our society, where dead people, like people who lost a son or something, go to these people now and get scammed out of money and don't know that they're fake because all they see on TV is them doing it successvely. So keep having Alex Jones on, but just fucking make him look like the lunatic that he is.
But that's the thing, is that's his boy, and he doesn't view that as his job. He doesn't see his job as a debunker or a fact checker or a news person. He sees his job as, and this is what I was trying to tell Mike. I was trying to say, listen, man, he's a middle-aged dude who's a comedian, and he has a podcast, and his whole thing is just talking shit with people. And
then I can't agree with him on that shit. Like, as much as he's your boy, at some point you got to realize you have a big platform and what you're doing. And then people have to realize that for themselves. If they see that in Rogan and they see that like he fucks with this dude heavy and that might be his boy, then they got to see him for a little bit of an asshole, because it's just like, you're hanging out with this dude who's a fucked up human being. And like me as a person, I might have some fucked up friends, but I know that they're fucked up friends, and I'm not going to bring them on a platform of mine and showcase them. But the
thing about Rogan is, he will then have on people like me, where I'm free to say whatever the fuck I want. And if I wanted to go off on Alex Jones and say, hey Joe, listen, here are the things about Alex Jones that you have to know, and here are the things he said, he's not going to stop me. You know what I mean? And so when somebody says he's part of the problem, it's like, no, he's a dude who really fancies himself as kind of apolitical and a comedian first and foremost, and he has a lot of friends who are assholes, and sometimes he pushes back on them when he sees they're being assholes and they're wrong about something, and sometimes he doesn't, when he doesn't see them when he doesn't see something wrong with what they're saying or he doesn't know. So it's almost like what I'm trying to tell people is you got to accept it for what it is, and that doesn't mean you can't criticize on specific points. But what it does mean is you can't say, and this was my main contention in this whole conversation, is that what we do too much, people on the left, I mean, is we like to morally shame and condemn and shut out and cancel and say like, oh, you're done now, and like we're done now, like you're now part of the problem. And then what does that do, Corin? What's the end game? What's the end goal of that? What it does is it turns over his giant platform to people where he's going to talk to people all day long now who are assholes.
Yeah.
Whereas if we just say, hey, listen, man, Alex Jones kind of fucked up, but it's your platform, you do what you want to do. And then when you go on the show, or when he has on left-wingers, you speak the truth, and you tell it like it is. That's the best. Like, in other words, what do you want? Because right now, Rogan has, 30% left-wing guests on, and you know, what's the math on that, 70? Yeah, 70% right-wing guests on? Like, what do you want? If your goal is to say, you're part of the problem, and we're done with you, okay, well then congratulations, because now it's going to be fucking 90% right-wing guests on. And my whole point is, we got to come correct. Like, we have to convince people why we're right and why we make sense. And that doesn't, like, part of that is not shaming people who associate with other assholes. Because I know people in my own family, some of them are drunk on Fox News. Like, we all know people who have crazy beliefs. And we're way too quick to be like, okay, it's fine to disagree with the crazy beliefs and go after the crazy beliefs. But when you start going layers removed, like, no, you're not even necessarily the one with the crazy beliefs, but your boy is the one with crazy beliefs, and since your boy's with him, well, now fuck you. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just torn on it. He does have to be held to a different standard. And this is something that I, just started realizing as a parent. So, like, shit I could do before I had a daughter, I could get away with and no one would give a fuck. I could, park somewhere, leave my windows open, have the music blasting, and people would just be like, oh, he's just a crazy kid. But now if I got my daughter, if I had my windows down and the music blasting, they'd be like, he's a reckless father, and, I can't take him seriously, or like, maybe we need to take his daughter away or something like that. Rogan, it's almost like he started his podcast. He probably was doing wild shit back in the day, having, Alex Jones on maybe back in the day, and no one gave a fuck. But now he's got this huge platform, and we're holding him to a standard of like, you've got a lot of people listening to you. You have a lot of people that respect you, that get their news from you. You've got to do something different. So whether it's either...
Is that fair, though? I don't know if that's fair,
It's not. I mean, it's not fair for me that, I had a daughter and now I can't, I want to blast my music while she's in the car. I want to,
But you chose to have a daughter. He didn't choose to have the #1 podcast in the world. It just got there.
That's a good point.
And I'm saying that because, listen, so if my show got super big, like I was considering doing a segment or doing these interviews where I'm like, I talk to literally the craziest fucking people I could find ideologically. Mm-hmm. But we're in an era where if you do that, they'll be like, why are you giving fucking time? Why are you talking to this person? Yeah. And it's like, fuck you? Like that's honestly the reaction I want to give people. Is like, fuck off. I decided to do this, now fuck off.
Yeah, like I'm fine with him talking to him, but it's just you've gotta you can't be boys with him in that talk. Like I said, if I've got crazy friends, if I do bring him on, like I spoke to Vinny might come on my chat. He's a lunatic.
You just threw him under the bus hard.
No, I mean like
you're like, so I have this idiot fucking dumbass friend. His name is Vinny.
No, he's not an idiot dumbass. Like I used to cheat off of Vinny because he was a lot smarter than I ever was. But he says some crazy things. I'm gonna have to be like, yo, you might not want to say all those crazy things. Or like if he does, I'm gonna check him on it because it's just like I'm not gonna let them get away with the stuff that is not...
I hear you, but again, I go right back to he did that with Dave Rubin, he did that with Candace Owens, sometimes he did that with Alex Jones, but Alex Jones says
but he's not
17...
really doing it with Alex Jones.
Well, Jones says fucking 17 crazy things per minute, and it's impossible to fact check it all.
Yeah, I mean, then you gotta, preface your sentence, before you say it, you gotta be like, I know you're gonna hit us with 17, you got to just keep letting people know that, yes, I know he's like, come out with a tweet and just be like, I know he's crazy. That's my boy. I'm going on his show. Like me or, like me or hate me, like me or hate me type of deal. I'm not mad at him doing it. Like, I could give a fuck what he does. I mean, like, I have got no say over what anybody does, He could do whatever the fuck he wants. So that dude from the Humanist Report, like, fuck that dude. Like, fuck, who gives a fuck,
No, I mean, I get...
Right, like, he's mad about someone else doing some shit.
No,
like,
I get why he's pissed, because the point you made earlier on, the first point you made, you were like, listen, you're Joe Rogan, you have the #1 podcast, and now you're basically taking this dude, Alex Jones, who's a piece of shit, and you're like you're giving him this legitimacy and this giant platform and this sense of normalcy, and that's an issue. Like, I get that. I actually totally get that argument, but I think
people just want to be mad about shit. Like, Scott Van Pelt said it. Like, a basketball coach got really mad at one of his players, and all these people came out saying crazy shit about the coach, that like he shouldn't have reacted that way. People need to stop fucking being concerned about shit that doesn't concern them. Like, him going on his podcast, like, I'm sorry, Humanist Report, dude. Like, that's his boy. Like, he could do whatever the fuck he want. You're not his father. You're not his grandfather. You can't tell someone what the fuck to do. So just, like, report on it. Say how you feel, but don't get tight because he did it. Like, he's not you. Like, if you don't want to do it, then you don't do the shit.
In his defense, he says, I'm not trying to censor anybody or deplatform anybody, and he could do whatever he wants to do. He's just saying it's, like, really, really irresponsible, which I kind of get. But at the same time, my only issue is when you say now he's part of the problem because he did this, I just think that's really sloppy and broad thinking, and that's like, what you're doing is you're saying only the bad shit you do counts. Mm-hmm. And then when you do good shit, I'm just going to ignore it and say, like, that's what I've determined your default setting should be. Your default setting is interviewing the right people who are left-wing and who are good and who make sense. And you've deviated from that. So now you're canceled and I'm done with you. And
I mean, that happens in a lot of shit in our society. I mean, like, you have a marriage for 40-something years, you cheat one time, it's a wrap for your marriage. I mean, like, sometimes all it takes is one thing for people, like...
I guess so, but I just don't want... I feel like the left is... What's the word? Seceding? That's not the word I'm thinking of. Retreating is a better word. Mm-hmm. Retreating from public discourse and just saying, batten down the hatches. It's all where we have it figured out. And, like, everybody who's not already kind of in lockstep with us, mm-hmm. they're part of the problem. You know what I mean? Like, that's my fear, is that this mindset, if you take it to its logical conclusion, it's only going to be a bunch of lefties talking to themselves, jerking off in a corner, and then, like, the rest of the world where everybody else is going to be having discussions with each other and spreading their ideas. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because, again, you're not saying fuck Alex Jones in this situation. You're saying fuck Joe Rogan because he's boys with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And, again, Rogan, #1 podcast in the fucking world. So you say fuck Joe Rogan because he talked to Alex Jones. There's an implication there, and that implication is, well, anybody who's not, like, basically an ally of ours 100%, mm-hmm. they're done. Like, we're done with you.
Yeah.
And you're not going to spread your ideas that way. I did a poll on this. Let me tell you the results. So I said, what do you think about conversing with people of radically different beliefs, including those who are very, very wrong and perhaps even charlatans? Mm-hmm. And then I said, assuming you stay true to your values and your principles.
Yeah.
46% of people said talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. 23% said draw a line at the most extreme people. So, like, don't talk to, like Alex Jones or David Duke or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then 31% of people said don't talk to any charlatans or any idiots. Which basically, in my mind, that relates to don't talk to basically anybody on the far right, Yeah. Don't talk to quite a few people. There's a lot of idiots out there.
Yeah.
So let's do the math.
I would have been in that 46%.
So you'd be in the talk to anybody camp.
Because, I mean, that's the only way that you advance conversation is to hear the other side of things. Like...
Wait, let me do the math on this. 30, 40, 50...
Yeah, it sounded shit like over 100. Damn.
No, 54 to 46. To be fair, talk to anybody is 46%. Mm-hmm. And it's 54% is the other stuff. So technically, talk to anybody loses to the other two.
Yeah, no, I
because
don't.
because
That's
the
right.
other two draw certain lines just at a different point. I don't know how I feel about that poll, by the way, in terms of I don't know what my answer is to that question. I tend
No,
to have
come on. Your answer has to be talk to. You don't feel like you
no. It
would.
depends. Let me explain. I was going to explain.
Oh,
So
okay.
when it comes to debates, I actually feel like if you are engaged in a debate with somebody who's debating like a position that we've already determined is kind of out of bounds, don't do that. Like if somebody were to approach me and say, "Hey, Kyle, I wanna set up this debate with you." Oh, really? What's the debate about? You're gonna take the side of the Holocaust happened, and this other person is gonna take the side of the Holocaust didn't happen. My response to that is, well, no, I don't want to make it appear like that's a 50-50 proposition. So fuck you. That's not a debatable one. So
That's a good point.
by the same token, if somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, let's debate whether or not the Earth is flat," not really interested.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
not debatable. Climate change, even like, no, I don't even want to debate that one. Okay, but that's debates. So debates, I want to have issues that are actually debatable where we debate it. For conversations, yeah, I lean towards talk to anybody. Now, some people make the point though, like, yeah, but there's a lot of bad faith actors out there who are like they're not actually engaging honestly. You know what I mean? And shouldn't you disqualify the people who are not honest actors? I don't know. See, this is why this isn't an easy question. Because generally speaking, you're right with that first thing you said, which is the way that you get more people to agree with you is talk to everybody. Talk to fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Because then you're just by fucking simple math, you're going to convert more people when you're talking to more people you don't agree with. But yeah, you run into certain roadblocks if you're talking to a fucking charlatan or something like that, you know? So,
Yeah, that's
I don't know,
a good
it's
point.
a tough question. It's a tough question. You know, I'm not, Humanist Report, me and him are buddies, and obviously, and he said, we were talking to each other in DMs after we had the fucking public back and forth. And we don't disagree as much as it appears like we disagree. But this is still an open question that needs to be addressed by people on the left, which is, how do you even engage in like criticism without coming across in a way where everybody's like, no, fuck you. You know what I mean? And what he did, the way he framed that thing against Joe Rogan, a hefty number of people, including myself, were kind of like, nah, fuck you. Don't do that. Don't say that.
Yeah.
That's not true. He's part of the problem. No, he's not Alex Jones because he's associated with the guy who's really shitty like Alex Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just tough because I want to be able to spread our ideas as much as possible while still staying true to our values and principles and beliefs. And, you got to figure out how to walk that line.
Yeah, but there's so even in a debate with, a flat earth person, you don't think someone coming with like straight facts, I mean, obviously the earth is round, they would just shit on themselves, and then you'd just look like, here's something so obvious, you're just a complete idiot, and everybody would just be like, that guy's a fucking idiot, and he's obviously a dumbass.
You're selling short how crafty people are, because you can make almost any insane position look reasonable if you have a good debater, and if you have somebody who knows what they're saying in terms of they're versed well in the arguments for that thing. So the problem isn't even necessarily what actually happens in the debate. The problem is the premise. The problem is you set it up as if it's a 50-50 claim. That's the problem. It's because that's not a 50. Basically, that's like, if you really wanted to have an accurate representation on that particular topic, what you do is you bring in a professor from MIT who knows all the information on it, and you bring in a fucking 6th grade kid who doesn't know anything, and you have a chalkboard set up, and you have the professor teach a class about the reality of the round earth to the little kid. Like, that's the depiction of that makes sense. When you present it as, resolved, this is the earth flat, that's misleading by its very nature. It's like when CNN had a debate on climate change. They had on Bill Nye the Science Guy, and they had on a Republican Congresswoman, Marsha Blackburn, who doesn't know dick about science, to argue that climate change isn't happening. And the response from people like me is, that's wildly irresponsible to do that.
But do you know what the results of that was? Did people leave saying like, oh, Bill Nye slaughtered this lady? Because I mean, like, it's almost like, as absurd as their thought is, like, that person's obviously an idiot. But you're 50% of a person, like they're 50% of a person. So like their idiot thought and your idiot, like your like actual real life thought, like you have to tell them, like you're two people. So, I almost think you should, like as absurd as their thinking is, you should still debate them because people need to see, as convincing as they can be on a topic, they're still a fucking idiot. And like it can't be as convincing of here's a satellite picture of a dude on the earth. Well, no, a satellite picture of a dude on the earth, you probably couldn't see that. But like here's a satellite picture of the earth. That shit is round. Like so like let the idiots be idiots. If there's idiots watching that, like, oh, I think the guy on the right is that he's right about the earth being flat. Then let them be idiots themselves. Like they'll find an idiot wife, they'll have idiot children, and there's gonna be idiots in our world. We're not a perfect society. There's gonna be idiots out there. But you need to still talk to those idiots to show that there are intelligent people who can make good points about a topic.
Yeah, I agree with you, but for conversations, I feel like that's different. When it's a debate, what you're saying is you're lifting them up to be the level of an equal proposition, and I think that
that still falls in the category of talking to them. So, like, you know,
no, but a conversation is different because you could have a conversation with anybody about anything, you know, and that's what I was thinking about maybe doing is setting up a thing where I talk to very insane people with crazy beliefs, talking to people who are hardcore communists, maybe even talking to people who are hardcore Stalinists, talking to people who are fucking fascists, like, and yeah, we would get into arguments in the course of the conversation, but the reason why you don't set it up as a debate is because I find that it's a very misleading framework to people because they're going to go into it going, oh, I guess this is an open question. No, it's not an open question. The fucking Holocaust happened. The climate is changing. The earth is not flat. This is settled. I'm not going to pretend like it's not settled. But if you take the same hypothetical person you're talking about and you do it in a conversation, that's different because conversation is conversation. You can talk about anything with anybody at any time.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm splitting hairs here, but I think people might get the distinction that I'm trying to make. But I agree with everything you said, just not in the context of a debate, in the context of a conversation.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just how
I'm talking formal debate here, Corin. I'm talking about...
Yeah, like it's set up with a moderator who's like in a suit. Like, and it's like, now your turn to speak.
Podiums, all that bullshit.
Yeah, I see that. I understand that point. But, like, how often are we having a debate like that with someone? You know, like everything is a conversation.
Well, obviously, for our space, for me and Humanist Report, that's not an unheard of thing to say.
Yeah, no,
you know what
course.
I mean?
Yeah, you guys are on a different playing field than me or anybody listening. You know, like you guys could actually be in a situation where someone might come to you and said, Kyle, we need you to debate this guy who thinks that fucking Santa Claus is real or some shit.
But I agree that in conversation, I agree with everything you were saying.
Yeah.
Which is there's people out there who, no matter how much we might think everything reflects our basic ideology, it just doesn't. And there are people out there who wildly disagree. And it's good to get the word out. You know, like get the word out, talk to people. And that manifests itself sometimes where you might look like, oh, what are you fucking getting along with this crazy asshole? And it's like, what do you want me to tell you? Would you rather me not change anybody's mind? Is that what you'd rather have me do? I don't know.
And that's why a lot of the times we've said in the past, like there was people at my old gym who like I got along with them great before I knew what their political stance was. You know, so it's just like people are nice. They they mean well. They're looking out for you. But, you know, obviously we're going to disagree on some shit. Just, you know, don't. Maybe Rogan, like, it's like you want to be boys with him because you guys drink together and, you know, he's funny. But maybe just stay away from him on his political thoughts or something like that, you know, which is hard to do because that's all. that's the world that Alex Jones lives in.
Literally the only thing I take issue with is the notion that because Rogan is buddies with not just Alex Jones, but a bunch of assholes who are on the right.
Yeah. Donald Trump Jr., he said he's boys with and wants to go hunting.
Exactly. That's my point. Is like this, like he's boys with, there's a lot of people I could list who have been on his podcast, who are right-wing people, who honestly, some of them I know are charlatans. I know they are. Because I'm in this space, I do what I do, and I know generally when people are making arguments that they think they're correct, and when they're just going through the motions and saying the things that they're supposed to say when they know it's bullshit, you know?
Yep.
So I am 100% for criticizing him, criticizing his guests, being detailed in your breakdown and fighting back. But what I'm also in favor of is just not saying that because of associations, he's now part of the problem and with the bad guys and off limits. You see what I'm saying? That was the only thing I was triggered by and objected to. Because I just feel like that this ideology of like, if you're friends with too many of the wrong people, or you say just one too many of the wrong things, that now we're done with you, that's incredibly counterproductive, and that's only going to hurt people in our space doing what we do.
Yep, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, because he's wonderful. He's great on all the issues, and he's a fighter, and he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
And I just want everybody who's in our space doing what we're doing. Like, I'd love to see him on Rogan's podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And point is, Rogan would not be opposed to that. If Rogan saw some of his videos, he might want him on. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if you're out there saying he's fucking canceled or he's part of the problem because of his associations, okay, well, now we just made it so that as a result of that shit, now you're not going to get on there and you're not going to change people's minds, which you're very capable of doing.
Yeah.
Which was my thing, because, you know, I got fucking comments after I was on Rogan where everybody was like, I was going down a wrong path, and I was like listening to fucking Stefan Malahir and a bunch of bad people.
Who you were? You froze up for a second.
No, people were saying to me, like, you stopped my slide into going right-wing.
That's what's up. Yeah.
And the point I like to make to a lot of people, because, again, they like to bring up, he's a gateway to the right wing or something, talking about Rogan, to which my response is, you could be a gateway out of the right wing. You just have to not tell everybody who has bad associations and who doesn't agree with you 100% that they're a fucking piece of shit and to fuck off. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, in order to be the gateway out of the right wing, you need to have kind of connections with people who are bordering that world to then get a broader audience and then chip away and get people on your side. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, that's a thing, too. Like, it's not just a thing that, oh my god, this YouTube algorithm is going to slide people into the oblivion of the right wing. First of all, people are independent thinkers, and many people can spot bullshit and go, this is bullshit, okay? But second of all, there's also a lot of us on there. There's also a lot of lefties on there. Yeah. So be a gateway out of it. And step one in being a gateway out of it is to not fucking amputate both your arms thinking that you're somehow morally pure and you're above it all and that everybody else is a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
No, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. I won't say it again, but I'm totally fine with him, going on his platform. But what do you think, so what's your take on, because this is something that Molly's father, he's a big basketball guy, never considered Jordan as the GOAT because he didn't take a stand as an advocate, during those times. Like, should he be held to a different standard? Should he have said something on that?
That's another one I'm totally torn on, man, because on the one hand, I totally get his point. Like, I totally get his point that it would have a tremendous positive effect if he did that, if he stood up, if he was involved. And that's, honestly, if you think about it, that's one of the reasons why Muhammad Ali is considered the GOAT. Not just because he was the GOAT in the ring, but also because out of the ring, he was heroic with his political activism. The dude literally went to prison and in his prime wasn't allowed to fight because he said, ain't no Vietnamese ever did anything to me when he was sent to be drafted to fight in the war. He's like, I'm not fighting this war. I'm not fighting this war. So he was a hero. And I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, people are individuals, and some people are just, that is what they do. Like, he's a basketball player. That's what he does. Tiger Woods comes to mind. I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan. Tiger Woods, people wanted him to get political throughout his career. Never did it. He's played golf with Obama. He's played golf with Trump. He's left his politics very ambiguous where nobody has any idea what they are. Yeah. And, I mean, listen, part of me wants to say, come on, man. Like, really? There were certain, like, you couldn't chime in on anything? On nothing. There was nothing that caught your eye where you're like, this is kind of fucked up. And the reality is, the answer is no. He's just not a political person. So can I blame them for not having that interest? I don't know.
It's just like he's got a person like Jordan has so many like young African American kids looking up to him, buying his sneakers. Like,
and what if he got involved in political activism and he said, yes, we need to, get healthcare for everybody. We need to end police brutality. We need to. Yeah, it would unquestionably have a super positive effect 100%. In the same way that if Rogan had on nothing but Noam Chomsky type people, it would have an incredibly wonderful effect. But yeah, I don't know. Can we blame somebody for not doing this thing that we want them to do? I mean, and in a weird way, it's kind of selfish on our part for even bringing it up, but it also, just objectively speaking, would have an overwhelmingly positive effect if you had these, these celebrities use. If celebrities use their platform for actual good, oftentimes they get involved in politics, but they do the low-hanging fruit stuff, the stuff that nobody can object to, like, don't lynch anybody, like, oh wow, you're so brave, like, like, we didn't already all agree to that. But like they'll do that, but they don't, like, when politicians get involved, if they get involved in like anti-war efforts or shit like that, or money out of politics, it's like, okay, cool, like, you're getting involved on the right side of something, you're taking action on it.
Yeah, that. It's just you open yourself up to more exposure, like more. You open yourself up more for more criticism, which potentially they don't want,
That's certainly true, but it's also the case that you're never gonna... There's a famous old quote, I forget how it goes, but it's something along the lines of, anybody who's spoken up and gotten the hate of one group of people unquestionably has gained the support of another group of people. Yeah. So there's always a little bit of, like, okay, I pissed off you guys, but now I made you guys really happy. So it's not career suicide by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it was for the Dixie Chicks when they spoke up against the Iraq War and George W. Bush.
Nobody fucking listened to the Dixie Chicks.
Well, the problem is it was all Republicans. It was all red state. Oh, and then they heard him, you're talking bad about my president.
Wait, what did the Dixie Chicks do? They came
spoke out against the Iraq War. And
that's what's up.
Yeah, in the fucking height of the Bush administration when the Iraq War was, like, really popular, and then they were fucking done. Their career was, like, ended because they said the right thing and they took a moral stand. But in the case of... But, like, okay, I guess they could have gone to blue states, but country music just isn't popular in blue states, so they were kind of uniquely fucked because their whole thing was... appealing to Republicans, I guess. But for athletes, like, no, you could say whatever the fuck you want. If you're a NASCAR person and you're super right wing, they're gonna love you. If you're a basketball player and you're left wing, they're gonna love you. I mean, I guess it'd be harder if you're right wing and you're a basketball player. If you're left wing and you're NASCAR,
I'm trying to think about that right now. It's just like I was just thinking in my head, like, as long as someone's passionate about some shit and they're like, they take a stand on something and they genuinely believe it. Then I was like, I'm all for it, what? But then I started thinking when you said that, like, say there's who's a good white basketball player, like, I don't know, like, Steve I love Dirk Nowitzki or something like that. Who'd you say?
I said Steve Kerr, going back to the 90s.
Yeah, no, but Kerr is a big liberal. But, like, say Dirk Nowitzki came out and he was just like a huge Trump supporter and, like, he actually, like, had stuff that he was quoting.
That would hurt in the NBA. In the NBA, that would hurt. Cause
it would hurt like a motherfucker. But to my point is, like, I just was thinking, like, as long as someone came out and, like, spoke their mind and genuinely believed it, I'd be okay with it. But I wouldn't be okay with that. Like, if it was on the conservative side,
it depends because the clientele, like the people who watch the NBA, are overwhelmingly left wing.
Yeah,
overwhelmingly. It's like that's proven in the demographics and the
genuinely
statistics.
Passionate about, like, his conservative thoughts and stuff like that, I still wouldn't be able to respect him.
Well, it depends. I mean, but if a NASCAR dude came out super right wing, he wouldn't get any pushback, or he would get pushback, but not from the people who actually watch NASCAR. You know what I'm saying?
Normal. Yeah, it'd be normal.
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying, but for guys like Jordan and guys like Tiger Woods, I just think they're actually very apolitical and they don't think about this shit. Like those guys, I know in the case of Tiger Woods, dude was raised in a vacuum, bro.
Yeah.
It was him and his dad, and they were best friends, and he would take him golfing, and they would just golf. And it was kind of like he just never took an interest in certain things. And,
yeah, but when he plays golf with Obama or Trump or something, he's got to think to himself, like, this dude's an asshole. This guy's nice. Like...
Well, on a personal level, like, that's how he knows Obama and Trump is on a personal level. He probably doesn't think at all about their fucking policies. He's literally been known to be apolitical. Like, this is a guy who's known for that.
Yeah, I've never heard him say anything political-wise of, like, oh, I support this person. Or, like, that was a good thing going to war here. Or something. He's never said anything, right?
Everybody else has shown their cards a little bit.
Yeah.
Tiger's never shown his cards. I mean, playing golf with Trump, people will say, oh, that shows he's Republican, but he's also played with Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah, I don't know, but that's a good point. Like, it's an interesting conversation because, like, yeah, we know that if they did it, it would have a tremendous positive effect, you know. But if they didn't do it, what are we gonna do? Can we really get mad at them for not being interested in that? I don't know.
I think in some aspect it makes me lose a little bit of respect for them in that like GOAT category, that they didn't like also.
Yeah, I could hear you on that, and by the same token, I could hear people who say, "Listen, I lost a little bit of respect for Rogan when he had Alex Jones back on." I could hear that. I hear that opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. Conor McGregor is fucking retiring.
Fuck him.
Speaking of, he got mad at Rogan because he said Rogan just calls a UFC fight like off a script or something like that. And Rogan sort of was watching the video like it almost seemed like he's got a point.
He definitely doesn't use a script.
He doesn't use a script, but like, I mean, I don't know. McGregor must know some shit. And Rogan was like, the way he was defending himself was almost just like, yeah, well, I'm reading the thing, you know, and it was almost like he does do it, but sort of like ventures off.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to verbally berate a crazy person like Conor McGregor?
Yeah, true. You can't
the
get
dude threw like a chair through a fucking bus window.
Yeah, I know.
He's an unhinged person.
You're seeing a lot of people like McGregor retiring is super young. Gronkowski just retired. I know.
I mean, a fighter, what do you want them to do? Fight until they're fucking 45 and they're got brain damage already?
I just think like it's so easy to say you retired and then in 2 years, if he's wants some more money, he could come out of retirement and fight a big fight.
But I think fighters generally retire pretty early, right?
They do, but like he's young and he's still in his prime. I can't go to work and be like I'm retiring and then in 5 years just come back to the same job.
But you also didn't make $100 million doing something.
I know.
You know, he's got enough money where he could say, "Yeah, fuck all this. We're done here, baby."
Yeah, I wish I could do that shit. That's why I'm not telling anybody to subscribe to Corin's World. I'm not going to do that this episode.
Speaking of what you said there's an interesting video you just reminded me of. Noam Chomsky was talking to, there's some actor who like interviewed him, and the actor asked Noam Chomsky like, isn't it the case that everybody in their ideal world, in their perfect state, what they really want is like a big tub of ice cream, a comfy couch, and to watch something good on TV and just to have that remote in their hand. And the audience was laughing and stuff. And I'm bringing this up because I knew you'd agree with that.
Oh, 100%. I want to do that right now.
But Chomsky's response was like, he fucking broke it down as to why that's not true. He broke it down, son.
What
I kind of want you to see that video.
So one guy was saying all we want to do is just sit on the couch with a bowl of ice cream and watch a show that's banging.
Yeah,
and
he said something.
Was just like, no, we really don't want that.
He said something like, people at their core, like what we all really want is to just like sit on a couch with ice cream and change the channel and watch TV. And Chomsky was like, basically, I'll summarize Chomsky's response here. I'm not going to do it justice because the way by the end of, because I was with you when I heard him say that, I was like, that shit is kind of true. But then when I heard Chomsky's response, I was like, oh shit, he definitely won that argument. Because Chomsky said something like, it's taken a tremendous, like a massive, colossal effort from the top down in society where they've made us believe that that's what we want. Like corporations have made us believe like this is the peak of happiness. When the reality is, it's taken a lot to beat out of our heads this other thing that we're like when we're at our best and when we're our happiest, which is when there's like a sense of community and you're all working together towards something and you're all being creative.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's how we originally were, right? We were a community and we were like hunters and gatherers and everybody played their role type of shit, you know?
Pretty much. Now, Chomsky wasn't saying let's go back to a hunter-gatherer society, but obviously he's a proponent of like democracy in the workplace. So instead of having a boss, everybody kind of votes on everything together. And so he's saying like you want to feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself. So this idea of like all you want is to sit in front of a fucking TV, it's like that's been beaten into our heads from when we're young. And so we've been brainwashed in a sense, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like, I still would like to just sit on a couch.
Oh, I mean, right now, hell yeah. I mean, it's end of the day type shit. Actually, the funny thing is, I think they're both right. I think that, like,
Yeah, there's a balance.
Yeah, I think Chomsky's right that like during the day, that's what you want to like. You want to be working towards a goal that's bigger than yourself, and you want to have a sense of like community and solidarity and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, yeah, at nighttime, there's always time for some individualism and always time to fucking relax a little bit and unplug, unwind. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. Is Chomsky still alive? Is he?
Yeah, man, still alive.
And he's just like a genius? Like, what is his deal? He writes books and he's just a philosopher or some shit?
Well, he was a professor for a very, very long time at, I think, MIT.
Okay.
He's known for two things. One of them is being a linguist, and he basically he changed the game when it comes to language. Like, he somehow discovered or found that the idea used to be, when we talk, people thought we started out as a lump of clay. Okay, so like think of Nyx. Did she start out as a lump of clay, and then all she did was just pick up on everything you and Molly said, and like as a result of that, eventually she learned how to talk?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
that was the old school thinking. Like, oh, like she's just a lump of clay, and Corin and Molly and the world around her is going to shape her. Okay. He comes along and he says, no, that's not true, because every language around the world has certain characteristics that are universal. So what that shows is there's a genetic... It has something to do with what's in your nature already. And nature and language grows in the same way. Like, think about how your hair grows, and your nose grew, and your ears grew, and your body grew when you were growing up. Language grows in that same way. It's almost like another body part that physically develops. So he was able to prove that somehow, and then he became like, he changed the game in linguistics and became like the Michael Jordan of linguistics. And
yeah.
That put him on the map intellectually, but then also the political stuff came later on, where he's always been a world-renowned activist and philosopher, and written a lot of books on that. And that's obviously how I came to know Chomsky, is from the political stuff.
Yeah, I remember you reading his books and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I think I think there's a balance, and I think I listened to someone on Rogan about this, I think he's right in both aspects of it, where it's like you're brought up and just who that baby is, like, will eventually grow into the person that they're going to be. And you can't really dictate it too much as a parent, whether it's like trying to be extra funny so the kid will be funny. Like, who that kid is going to be is who they are. You can help mold it a little bit by, being more positive and obviously, telling them to be respectful and stuff like that. And I'm sure that works with language a little bit too, or a lot bit. But there's also certain things, like I've seen with my daughter, is like, she'll say like, oh, wow. And it's just like, she says that because I've said that somewhere along the lines. Like, she didn't just learn to say, oh, wow, She heard me say that, so that's something that she picked up. But like, down the line, she might, have a better ear for language and pick up, have the capability to learn Spanish or something better than I could, because just instinctually, or who she was born to be, has that trait in her or something like that. Does that make any sense? You
got to start, apparently for language, you have to start when they're young. Like, if you or I tried to learn a second language now, it would be very difficult. But if you do it when they're still growing and they're still developing, it's actually very easy for them to learn a second language.
Yeah, but I think also people have a better ear for it too. Like my brother can pick up languages a lot easier than I could.
But he's been doing it for a long time. When did he first learn his second language? It was a long time ago.
Like 15 or 16?
Exactly. So the earlier the better. So if Nyx were to now grow up and learn both English and Spanish, let's say, and you were to start now somehow being bilingual in the house, she would learn both, and she'd learn them very easy. But the later you start, the harder it is. If she tries to learn it at, like you said, 15 for Jed, it's going to be a little more difficult. Try learning it at 35, it's going to be even more difficult.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing about language where in your developing phase, it's like there are certain characteristics or traits or whatever in your map as a human being. And there's a time where it develops, and if you hop in on that ground level when it's developing, it's actually relatively easy. You'll find that a lot of bilingual people, it's from very early on.
Yeah, I see that, but I also still think that like some people, even two people at 35 that don't know any languages, one of them might have a better ear for it than someone else, you know?
I mean, I don't know.
You don't think so?
I guess technically they could just be more interested in it and therefore be more driven to figure it out. But it would still be harder for them to learn a language than anybody who's young and learning a language. But you were saying you think most of what is gonna happen with Nyx in her life, you think most of that is going to be shaped by just who she is, or you think most of it is going to be as a result of what's happening around her?
It wasn't actually Rogan. It was some podcast that Molly was listening to about parenting. I think she's already like. So say I were to just stop teaching her things and like stop being myself, she would still be more or less the same person she's going to be when she was born. I only contribute a little bit.
Yeah, so in other words, you're saying it's mostly nature that develops a person and nurture just pokes at it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So like she's obviously going to be respectful and polite. She'll say please and thank you and all this stuff. And like she'll learn to respect everybody, every color, every race, every gender. That stuff I'll teach her. But like her personality and like her, I don't know, charisma, what the hell the definition of that word is, but that probably works in my sentence here. But like that's who she's going to be already. I can't change all that shit. You know?
I mean, let's say that's true, that's what people are, that they're mostly just, they are what they are. And then maybe the environment pokes at it and changes it a little bit, but they're mostly just they are what they are. If that's the case, then everybody can stop like getting mad at everybody else and stop getting mad at like their parents or whatever, because it's like, well, no, they didn't really mess me up. I just kind of am who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's obviously like if someone beats their child or if someone like sexually assaults their child, that shit's going to affect them.
There are exceptions that are
there's
on the
obviously
extreme end. Yeah.
I can see usually that. You see most of these fucked up people who do things, they usually have a troubled past of like an uncle or something who like molested them But
it's funny because beat. I always acted on I feel like without thinking about it in any way, shape, or form, I always kind of acted on the assumption that what you just described there is true. That it is true that you mostly just are who you are, and what's happening around you just kind of pokes at it a little bit, but doesn't change like the core of it.
Yeah.
But I actually don't know if that's true. It could be more of a 50-50 type deal where it's like you're 50% you are what you are, but then 50% is your environment directly around you, which means like it has a radical impact on you no matter what. Because everybody knows like people who, even if they have relatively decent parents, they feel like, whatever, the smallest slight. He missed my fucking karate practice when I was 8 and I'm still holding on to the grudge. You know what I mean? And then they like go off the rails and they have a drinking problem or whatever the case is. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, nature and nurture both play a role, but what's the majority role and what's the minority role? Or is it 50-50 or whatever it might be? But I don't know. Either way, human beings are very complicated and complex.
Oh, it's super complex. But like that's what I think the study was, from what I heard, was that like we don't affect it that much. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I remember I got into a big fight. It's funny. It's so funny we're talking about this because I'm going to bring it full circle back to Chomsky. I remember my psychology professor, my first year of college, we were talking about this issue, nature versus nurture. And she said that point. She was like, my guess is, and she made it clear, she's like, I don't know, but if I had to guess, my guess is nature is most of it and nurture just pokes at it. That's what she said. And then I remember, because I had another professor who knew Noam Chomsky's email and spoke about him all the time in glowing terms. I was like, oh, can I get his email? And he was like, yeah, he literally responds to everybody who emails him. I was like, what?
No, the Chomsky guy?
Chomsky did. I was like, what?
Even if I was just like, yo, my dick was hard as fuck yesterday.
Well, he's not going to respond to that, but he's not the normal.
You said everything.
But anyway, so I emailed him and I was like, Professor Chomsky, hey, here's what my professor says on this issue. What do you think? Like, is this as off base as I think? Because my default assumption, like every young lefty, thinks it's the opposite, thinks it's mostly nurture, and nature pokes at it. So, like, we're all just a complete product of our environment. And, like, since we're a product of our environment, that means we're infinitely malleable. And since we're infinitely malleable, that means we can mold human beings to be these loving, caring, totally open creatures who believe in equality and who want to all work together and create, like, a utopian society. And Noam Chomsky responded, and he was basically like, which is awesome, by the way, young college kid.
That's so sick. Yeah, I was going to say, you should have that frame.
You know how many people have stories like I have right now about Noam Chomsky? Countless people.
I mean, like, his name just sounds like some godly thing.
Yeah, and especially when you're a fucking confused first year of college kid, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing.
But he responded, and he basically said, like, I never really understood the debate because both play a role, and we just don't know the exact, like, numbers as to how much each one plays a role. And ever since I read that, I had the light bulb moment, and I was like, damn, that's true. And that's always been my default now, is just like, yeah, both play a role. I don't know how much each one plays a role. You know?
I mean, I think we, as parents, like me personally, I'd like to think, you know, like I saw Nix in the airport. I put her on the ground, and she's walking around, and she'll walk up to some random person. She's like, hi. You know, like, I'd like to think that, like, that was me, you know, and she sees me smiling and talking to people, and that, you know, that is that. But, like, that's not me. Like, that's just who she, like, she's
that could, for something like that, that could just be her disposition. Like, that's just
like, whereas other kids, you know, when they get put on the ground, they automatically run up to their parent's leg and, like, hold it and, you know, want to be sheltered.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I think a lot of it, which side?
Nurture is the you crafting it. Nature is the inherent.
Yeah, so ultimately, I mean, it's technically both, because it's like, even if you're not doing it on some parenting level, that trait was still passed down from you, like, like, from who you are, you know? So, like, it got passed either way, whether it was when you know, finished inside, you know, your significant other, or when your daughter or son was born and you started teaching them things. So either way, you could take credit for it. But I think just as parents, you want to be like, oh, I taught her that.
Well, you know? Yeah, it's me raising her that made her see this, and then now she's acting it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to be able to say, like, oh, yeah, I take some credit for that. But yeah, I don't know, because I noticed it with my, you know, my niece and nephews. Certain ones were bouncing off the walls all the time, full of energy. Other ones were very quiet and reserved. They didn't want you anywhere near them. And when you go near them, they start crying. They'd rather be alone and fuck you, you know? And other ones are all happy all the time and smiling. So it's, and
like, I'm sure your sister and your brother-in-law probably raised them all the same way.
That's the point, is that, like, okay, how the fuck did that happen then? That some of them are bouncing off the walls with energy all the time, and the other one's very reserved and quiet and withdrawn.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The thing we could all agree on is we don't have as much control of shit as we think we do, you know?
No.
We definitely don't. Because I remember, and by the way, the best humbling thing on this front is golf. I know that's a random pivot. But when you start playing golf and you're young, you feel so ineffectual. You're like, I can't do this. I hit the ball and it goes fucking 8 feet. It doesn't go anywhere. And you could try to swing as hard as you can, and when you just start, and I don't know how old I was, 8 years old or some shit, and I'm swinging and missing, and then you're swinging and you're making connection, but you can't fucking hit it 25 yards, and you're hitting nothing but grounders, and you can't even get the ball up in the air.
That's me.
But then here's the thing. As you keep doing it, and you get better, and what I noticed for me was, it was in direct correlation to, like, when I hit puberty and when I got bigger. And, like, when I hit puberty and I got bigger, all of a sudden, I was hitting the golf ball way further. And it's like, I realized how big of a role just biology plays in this shit. Like, there's a time, like, right now, you and I are relatively healthy, you know, young adults.
People won't say that shit after watching the tour.
They're going to laugh at us. Yeah, like, healthy my ass, bro. Get on a treadmill, bitch. No, but I mean, healthy as in lacking illness. That's what I mean. Not healthy as in, like, you know.
Yes.
So... But there's going to come a time where we're fucking 75 and our body's breaking the fuck down, man.
Yeah.
And the way that I can hit a golf ball now, 285 yards with a driver, there's going to come a time where I'll hit it fucking 210. And people be like, damn, he kind of fell off. But yeah, it's not really me. It just happened. It just, like, time just fucking made you more and more decrepit. It's really crazy when you see, like, if you see the progression of somebody aging and you look at their face, 1 year to the next year to the next year, you see very little changes year to year, almost none. Like, you don't see almost any changes if you go year by year. If you see a picture of my face now and a picture of my face from last year in the same fucking position, you don't see a difference.
Yeah.
But cut to the one you see now and maybe the first Kyle and Corin we ever did, and you'll see the aging. You see, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you go year by year, that little minute difference, there's nothing there. There's nothing in it. But if you go from now, cut all the way back to fucking 2013, and you'll go, oh, no, I do see a little difference. And you can't even necessarily put your finger on exactly what it is, but there's a difference.
But it's weird, though, because, so Nyx is about a year old. She's a year and a month. And, you're saying that there's not that much difference year after year, but, like, at her level,
huge
month
difference.
by month is, like, the biggest jump
Unbelievable.
ever.
Unbelievable. Huge
so
difference.
Is that happening on our level now, too, at age 30?
Well, that's always been the thing that creeped me out, is, like, I saw when my niece and nephews were born, and then now I see how big they are, and I'm like, they've aged this entire time. I've been aging, too. But it's just mine is not as visible because I'm not going through, like, the developmental years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, I've been alive the whole time they've been alive. And even though in my mind I feel like I've been stagnant, like, my consciousness, my perception is fucking the exact same it's always been.
Yeah, same shit.
But my body the whole time is just fucking slowly but surely becoming more and more decrepit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so from 0 to 1 is crazy. She went from being born, doing nothing, crying, shitting. Now she's walking, she's saying words. So it's like, that's in a year. From 1 to 2 is like even crazier. She'll be putting some sentences together. So like from 29 to 30, if I go take a shit, it's the same shit at 29 that I take at 30. But like there's other stuff going on. Like is it a lot different from 29 to 30? Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's another 365 days we've been alive.
Yeah.
There's a dark way of looking at it, man. Every second we march closer to death, all of us.
I know.
But then there's the other approach where you could say tomorrow's the first day of the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You could look at it that way too. That one's. By the way, I should tell the hilarious and adorable Nick story. First of all, she just started walking, so the way she walks, I would describe it as a waddle.
Yeah, she walks like my grandmother.
She waddles all over. It's so funny and it's adorable. She just walks like this, waddling.
There'll
back
be video in. I did a New York vlog that you'll see her walking.
Yeah, and so they stopped by, and I have all these foam golf balls sitting on the carpet because I always hit golf shots against my wall because that's. I'm a nerd, loner, loser, and that's what I do in my spare time is I practice by hitting little foam golf balls against my wall, and I consider that an awesome time. Mm-hmm. And Nick saw the golf balls, and she lit up because they're like these blue colors with like yellow,
it's like a blue, green,
stripe.
Yellow. Yeah,
yeah, like they're just colorful. They're just interesting looking, and they're foam golf balls. And she like was immediately attracted to them. And then she went, and she like picked them all up, and she would like walk over to me and like give me one of them, and it was hilarious. It was funny. But yeah, I made Corin let Nyx take one of them when they left.
She loved it. It was like it's in her rotation.
I know.
Right
Corin
now.
sent me a picture the next day of the little foam golf ball sitting like amongst the rest of her toys.
She liked that, and she liked that little like reddish bluish light that was on your tree.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. She liked.
She kept walking over to that.
Those what are they called? Not HD lights. Whatever they're called.
Yeah, I know.
The colorful lights. Everybody knows what the LED.
Yeah.
LED lights. Yeah, she likes that.
She's like, she's great with like she knows if something's like valuable, she'll touch it softly, So like today,
she's also pretty outgoing. Like when
she is.
When I walked out the first time I met her, Molly was like, "Oh, she's blowing you a kiss. Look." Yeah. And she was doing the thing. I was like, "Oh my
say
goodness."
Bye and blow a kiss.
My cold heart has melted.
Yeah. She's also big on like, we'll be like, say bye, blow a kiss, and then like the person will be waiting for it, and then if like you close the door and walk out, she'll be like, mwah. I'll be like, it's not
you
good.
waited.
Or like Molly will be on FaceTime and I'll be like, all right, say bye, and then we'll hang up. It'll be like 5 minutes of waiting for her to say bye. I'll click the red button. She'll be like, bye, or like, mwah. But nah, she's cool. Yeah, she had a good time on the trip. So
you're gonna get to see, man. She's gonna. Basically, my guess is that until like the age of 25, you're gonna be amazed at the quick growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then at like 25, you feel like they remain pretty steady from 25 to 35. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's the
they're on
same
their
person
own.
at 35 and 25. But up until that point, it's just gonna be every year change. And by the way, we already feel like time is going fast, man. Right? Imagine how our parents feel.
I know.
Our parents must feel like.
Yeah, my dad was just like, he texted me, he's like, just proud of you type of shit. And like, I can't even think of like him ever saw me with a daughter, like just growing up, just being in the back seat, eating some cheese doodles or something like that. You know?
Exactly, man. Exactly. That's
how it's going to be like when I can't, like, it's mind boggling to me, but like when Nyx gets married or something like that, and she's like a human being, like dancing in a wedding dress with a dude who's like, same age as her, I'm gonna be like, nah, what?
How old are we gonna be then? That's only 24 years away, maybe 20 or 30 years away.
Yeah, it's crazy,
like
right?
So that's
I'll be like 60 years old.
Oh, you're gonna be
that's
60,
nuts, right?
dog.
If I
there's
make
gonna
it
be a
60,
day where you're 60, and there's gonna be a day where I'm 60 if I make it that long.
Nah, well, hopefully.
Nah, I'm
what's crazy
31,
to me, though?
I got high cholesterol already. What?
People, we both. That's what we got to start eating healthy. I
already did, but I'm still probably gonna fucking die young.
It's crazy that it's normal that like women are just expected to like do all this shit with kids and like just understand. Like,
I think that's totally true. That's
change a diaper now, or like they need an extra bottle of milk. Because I did 2 days with Nyx alone, and then I had to travel with her. I traveled with her here, which was fine. Molly had everything set up, but like leaving today, I had double bags on my shoulder, the luggage, the car seat. Had to make sure I had a bottle ready to go, dude, a toy just in case, a piece of bagel, just so, like.
Being a mom's a full-time job, dude.
It's nuts. That
full-time job, dog. Full-time job.
So people saw me in the airport, and it's like I guess they don't see like a dad usually doing it by himself. So people were like, "Oh, can I help? This and that. Oh, like, here, let me help."
Damn, that's so nice of them.
Yeah, people were mad nice. But that's like women, so nice I'm sure they wouldn't get the same treatment because it's just expected. Like, oh, she's traveling with her daughter.
That's another good point, man. I think you're right. If I see a woman with her baby daughter, baby boy, or something, nothing. I never think. If anything, I think that they would think it's super creepy if I said, "You mind if I help you?"
Yeah,
they'd be like, "What the fuck? No, stay away from my kids. What are you talking about?"
Yep.
But you're right. For a dude, any help you can get, you're like, "Thank you. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing." Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is, but it could be how we were raised. It really could be. Because I was raised and I was a fucking spoiled brat, in the sense that I didn't fucking... What did I do? I never did shit. I was, my mom would put fucking chicken nuggets in front of me and be like, here you go.
Yeah, but it was always like the mom. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I didn't know. I don't know how to be an adult.
Yeah, neither did I until fucking today.
But you've done similar before though, right? Haven't you?
Yeah, no, I have.
Yeah,
I have.
You have.
But
You've definitely
it's just funny that like you're right. If I saw a mother doing that with like a young kid and carrying mad bags, I'd obviously, as you would too, you'd be like, "Oh, can I help with anything?"
Oh, definitely if it looks like she's struggling with something, like she can't pick something up, and I for sure.
But like if she was just doing it like successfully, you'd be like, "Oh, that's normal."
Yeah, the default would be that. Whereas with a dude, you'd be like, he looks weird as fuck trying to do it.
Yeah.
Unless for whatever reason he looked like a pro and he was. But yeah, most of the time they probably look like me. They look like a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, but you're right. No, you're right about that. That it's like they're expected to just do it all.
Yeah.
But now, if you think about it, men and women both work a lot.
Yeah.
So since they both work, it's very reasonable for them to expect, like, well, you should do a lot too in regards to the kids.
Yeah.
It's one thing if the dad is the only one working and the mom's home. That's one thing. Then it makes sense. And it would make sense vice versa too. If the woman's the only one working and the dad's the only one home, then that makes sense to divvy it up like that. But if both of you are working you know, then it's like, well, you can somewhat reasonably split the shit you got to do at home. What's crazy is like there's just, I noticed this too with me, like there's just always shit that you have to do where it's like, I didn't fucking want to have to do this shit. Like for whatever reason, garbage will pile up.
Yep.
For me, you know me, I'll have seltzer bottles all over the place.
Yep.
Fucking paper plates, got laundry laying on the floor.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I don't want to have to do this, but shit happened to make it so now I have to do something.
Yep.
And I'm like, how did this happen? Because I don't feel like I create a mess, but then a mess just appears.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, why didn't I just not create a mess?
Well, just dumping out the recycling or some shit. Like you said, yeah, it's just like you obviously drink from a can, you throw it in your recycling, and then like that shit builds up, and then you're just like, fuck. Like,
exactly. Like, God damn it, why did I just, like, my thought is, I think my default setting would be to live in like one of those mini homes. You know, like those mini homes on HGTV?
Yeah.
Even though I would never actually do it. I feel like my internal setting was like, you should have been in one of those things.
Yeah.
And because I'm just a fucking mess, you know?
I'm fucking minimalist at heart. Like all I want to do is wear the same shit to work. I want to wear sweatpants.
Me too.
And it.
I try to throw out everything I don't need, which is why I've had, like, I'm the opposite of a hoarder, which is why I've lost actually some things that I now, in retrospect, would like to have in my multiple moves.
Mm-hmm. But we still tend to have mad shit.
Exactly. And I try hard to declutter shit.
Yeah.
And like throw out shit I don't need, but it just builds up.
Yep. Yeah. Like I just walked home. When we got inside the house, I walk upstairs and literally the whole fucking carpet, the dogs got into like the bathroom garbage and like they ripped apart every toilet paper thing and everything that was like, the whole floor looked like it snowed, and it was just all white with the shredded. I was just like...
You were definitely so pissed at the dogs.
I was so mad.
Did they give you the look like they knew they did something wrong?
They knew they did something wrong. And then there was like, we had the neighbors watching them. They were still like shit in 3 different areas of the house and pissed. Like, it was fun. And I was like, the last thing I wanted to do was anything.
And you had to do mad shit.
And I had to pick all that shit up. I had to throw the fucking shit in the toilet and flush it. Then I had to get the spritzer and clean up the pee. And I was just like, fuck having to do this shit.
See, wait, now return of the cat people to come after you. Because you know what? You wouldn't have to worry about that shit if you had a cat and they were just shitting in a litter box.
Yeah, but then they would have fucking tore up. The cats will still tear shit up.
Nah, fake news.
Cats fuck cats, man. I'm still mad at the cat people.
Nah, fuck that. Cats are what's up. Cats wouldn't have caused a mess like the dogs did.
But if you're a cat listener, don't go to Corin's World and subscribe. I'm not.
Your reverse psychology is not working, dog.
I'm gonna. If you're a cat listener, if you're a regular listener, we don't have fire videos on Corin's World, so don't go over there and start watching those shits. I'm not gonna be on the podcast today telling 17,000, 20,000 people who haven't subscribed yet to go over there. That's not what I'm going to do.
When is Tommy Kaplan, our friend and former professional poker player, going to be on your podcast?
He didn't respond to me. I try to find out if it was over or under 10K that he wanted the bad beat.
Okay. I think he's away now.
Oh, but he should still have like universal worldwide coverage. He makes so much money.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Vinny said he's coming on.
When's he coming on?
I wanted to get him this week. I told him to start a YouTube channel about gambling, like legit. Like,
does he still gamble?
I think so, yeah. But like, he's very opinionated on like referees and this guy's rigged because
you're saying on sports betting?
Yeah. And if he was consistent with it and like did it, his shit would be successful, man. Because like he's got theories for days that I would listen to it.
I hear you on that, but you got to understand that you're going based off your own experience, and you also were already known from this show.
Yeah, no, I know. He's got to obviously stay with it, but like I think he's got a personality, to hold people's attention.
If he wants to do it, then he should try it, man. He should try it for sure.
Because I've seen him go on rants before. He's like, there's been some words in there that are not for everybody's ears. But he'll be like, this fucking ref, his grandmother definitely sleeping with the fucking coach over here, and that's why the Patriots are going to win. And I'm just like, He sort of got a point. Maybe
He'll have every like
every conspiracy
70-year-old Italian dude named Gino watching it.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, all right, guys, we love
Did you see? I wanted to see your thoughts on the thing real quick with the Jesse Smollett that they threw his shit out.
Oh yeah,
Fuck that guy, man.
No, you know what? I have no idea what happened. I just know that they dropped the charges against him, but I don't know
Like
what happened.
I don't know how. Like there
No,
was
but
no
I'm
reason
saying-
why they dropped.
There's no consensus as to whether or not he actually faked it or didn't fake it now, right? Don't we just not know?
No. It's clear he faked it.
Okay, so he
hired
definitely
2
faked
guys.
it, but they're just dropping the charges?
Yeah, they're just dropping. And there was like 12 or 16 charges against him, and they just straight dropping all of them.
So,
I mean, it just was just annoying to me. He staged the whole shit.
So listen,
What
you know what this proves? You know what this proves?
What?
It's all about the money, bro.
Exactly.
It's all
Robert
about the
Kraft
money.
got off.
You know, it's all about the money.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you got a lot of money, there is no justice against
It's
you.
so crazy.
There
It's
is
so
no justice for you.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to read more about it and see what actually, what the details are, but that does seem crazy because I thought it was pretty well established that he did.
It was 100%. Yeah, it came out
even
that
did
he-
a poor job staging
Yeah.
it, right? Didn't he do
Yeah,
a poor job?
he paid these 2 guys in like a $500 check. Like it was just
He wrote a check.
He wrote a check. I think this will hurt him. I don't think he'll really get work anymore. If he does, that shit'll be on like I don't know. He'll be on like True TV or some whack ass channel. Even though I fuck with True TV.
Yeah, I got love for True TV. I got love for all the creepy channels that nobody watches because every now and then they pick up the rights to a show I like that nobody plays.
Yeah.
They always did that with House. It'd be on some random ass channel called like Sleuth or some shit, and I'm like, I like this channel. All they play is like House and then some other thing. I have no idea what it is.
There are some weird ass channels. I saw someone put on Facebook yesterday like The Walking Dead though ... and then like that emoji face that's like and I was just like, how is that show still on and how are people still watching that
It's
shit?
funny you're bringing this up because I was trying to find some time to catch up.
Supposedly something crazy happened yesterday.
Well, yeah,
but
but dude, I'm five episodes behind. I got a
how
lot of
crazy
catching up
could
to
it
do.
be? Like Rick left, so like
Oh, it
nothing
could
else.
definitely be crazy. I think I have an idea what happened without even knowing the progression of the plot to how we got here because they were angling towards what's his face? Negan. They were angling towards him making a change and being a good character.
Oh, really?
So they're angling towards that, and then my guess is, in some weird roundabout way, he jumps in to try to save the group, and then he dies in the process.
That would be nuts.
That's my guess, which is why people were probably putting The Walking Dead ...
It's got to be like the 100th season already. Like they got to be having a 100th anniversary.
Well, listen, man, in my mind, and I love that show more than anything for such a long time, they just fucked it up, bro. They just fucked it up a little bit.
Too much. And to your point, money, like it corrupted them. They just kept
That's
going
right.
and kept going.
There was a time where I started calling them the walking commercials because
yeah.
more than half the shit was commercials. It would just you'd cut to a commercial all the fucking time, and it was like, I know you guys wanted to sell out and make dough on this shit. I get it, but have some fucking reasonable boundaries, bro.
Yeah.
Have some reasonable boundaries. This is not reasonable what you're doing right now.
It was way too much.
Yeah. All right.
All
Anyway.
right, I gotta fucking unpack and. Ugh.
All right. Well, we'll let you get to that. All right. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody,
Don't
check out.
go to Corin's World and check out the tour.
I was just gonna say, everybody, check out Corin's World. You'll see Corin and I doing the tour, eating every fast food place, and then soon you'll have a casino one.
Throw
Plus,
a link on the bottom of the thing so
I
people
will.
Do
Plus,
not go there.
all of the interviews Corin's done to this point, a lot of interesting stuff. I saw some of the talk with you and Molly where you're talking about being an interracial couple and what that's like.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I didn't get to finish it yet, but I saw a bunch of it, and it was interesting so far.
She wanted to get a little deeper in the topic, but no, that was a good talk. Yeah. People like the Molly's Mind. People were taking shots at Molly too, and she's firing back. She's a black belt karate people. So
No, that's what's up.
No, I know. She was like,
Go back and forth. Talk about it.
Yeah, no, I know. It's all right.
You know? All right. Love you guys. Peace.